boom, 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 Latest Deadlock content patch shipped November 21st, and this one's a medium-sized one. Lesser focus on the heroes, more looking at items and set pieces. We got some, like I said, new items. Bridge buff got a change. Heroes did see some changes. Shiv got some love, and Haze has a cool button to press, so that should be dope. This is primarily a gameplay-oriented review. Otherwise, it'd be 2 hours long. Literally, the highlights on Twitch if you want to see it. So we're just going to skip over the bug fixes, art updates, and things like that. Matchmaking rework. Ranked has seen a number of changes since they introduced it, and here's another one. No more time slots, no more rank queue even, just a queue this time. I like this for a lot of reasons, but that conversation is going to take way too long. Let's stick to the gameplay here. Actually getting into it, they start off with a bunch of building block changes, most of which are whatever. Here's a cool one though. Updated active items to have uniform slide rules and cast delays. This means that all actives will predictably behave the same. You can use them all while sliding, and they all have a 0.1 second cast delay. I like this consistency, and these are the types of building block changes that create a game that feels cohesive. When designers talk about clean design, this is what they're talking about.
Like humans, they don't like getting shot.
Economy changes, there's some adjustments to lane sharing. A lot of numbers here, really, it's just about splitting souls post-lane phase with 2 or 3 people. Splitting for 4+ is always going to be pretty inefficient, but the 2 or 3 person splits were pretty generous. A 10% nerf here encourages people to stay spread if they want to farm, making farmers tasty gank targets, and makes deathballing kind of inefficient. Kill bounties capped at 1,600 souls previously was 2K. Theoretically, chasing kills in the late game is less worth. Kill bounty is one of the bigger levers in MOBA balance. How important is macro? How much do objectives matter? Is efficient farming ideal? Or can you just group up and blast? On the other side, is getting a kill even worth leaving the farm? Kill bounty has a lot to do with the push and pull of these two forces. Either extreme's a bad situation and makes for a stagnant metagame, so this is one of the bigger things for the designers to keep an eye on. To the point, the biggest boon from late game kills still comes from the respawn timers itself, so kills will always be valuable. This is more of a slight balance adjustment versus something that will cause a large swathing macro change, I think. Walkers are stronger defensively now. Walker's Stomp also deals 10% max HP as damage. Walker's Lasers now also deal 2% max HP. Walkers now provide allied heroes 25% bullet and spirit resistance. And Walkers now have resistance based on how many nearby enemies there are, 0 for a solo push, and scaling up to 40% resistance when all 6 players are there. Middle lane Walkers HP increased from 1,500 to 8,000. Side Walkers are still 5,175. These are good changes. These are good, smart changes. You want to be wary of buffing structures. Too much, the game should have some forward momentum, but nobody likes when a tower is paper and a non-threat. You should feel kind of safe-ish or safer under a structure. The 2 to 3 person dive is giga strong. It doesn't really make you feel safe under your tower. So I love the bullet and spirit resist on nearby allies thing. On the other side, I am a little afraid of the scaling damage resist. It would be stupid if you got penalized for full pushing as a team. I think realistically, they still probably go down when you got 6 people there. It's just a matter of it not falling down comically fast. This seems like a change that feels better when not explained. Just play the game and it'll feel good is kind of my vibe here, because seeing 40% resist on the tower feels like bad. So play it, it feels fine. Patron Laser now also deals 3% max HP. Good. Solo pushing the Patron is kind of dumb. Flex slot changed from both shrines to 1 shrine and 2 base guardians. So good. Shrines feel a little weird to me in Deadlock. Feels like a relic of MOBA's past, like barracks or whatever. Having 2 shrines on the map felt awkward when the interaction was to get both shrines for the flex slot. Like there wasn't really a thought about getting 1 and then leaving for, you know what I mean? It just grabbing 1 and backing off now feels better. It doesn't feel like you almost got what you're looking for. That's a more natural exit strategy, and I think that feels cool. Tier 3s actually matter now as well. Fun fact, you can kill a shrine without killing the double guardians up there. You can just walk past and kill the shrine, so that's good that they actually matter now. Cool. Ultimately, this should ensure an easier 4th flex slot, which isn't something I'm complaining about. I don't necessarily think that the 2 shrines was too far out of reach, but this is easier, and I think I like that call. Mid-boss trooper health for the first spawn reduced from 95% to 70%, and trooper spirit resist at 25 minutes reduced from 30% to 20%. Still scales up to 70% at 50 minutes. Nerfing trooper tankiness, but leaving it alone late ensures Winions don't take down structures in the early and mid parts of the game. Still able to do so if the game's dragging on, an important thing to keep an eye on and zero in on for sure. Respawn time curves change from happening at 17 and 30 minutes for 40 seconds and 70 seconds respawn to 20 and 40 minutes. Trooper soul changed from 60-40 split in the kill orb to 65-35. Medic Trooper now has 3 charges of heal rather than 2. Fall off range reduced from 22 to 20. I am so mad about this change in the last hit split. It started at 50-50, then it got changed to 60-40. Now it's 65-35. Like, this is one of the cooler aspects of the game. I'm not screaming the sky is falling, but this is one of the cooler aspects of the game. I understand that it can be too punishing when there's a skill mismatch in the lane. You get all your souls denied. You're down 1,000, 2,000 souls all of a sudden. That's a real tier 2. I get it. Get good. I don't know. The healing. 3 heals instead of 2 is huge, actually, but it requires you to be near the wave for 12 full seconds. There's 6 seconds between each cast. And it requires your opponent to not have killed the healer troopers. Kind of a big ask to milk that 3rd heal out of the wave. The first one you get immediately when it drops. The second one comes pretty quickly as long as you stay near it. 3rd one's going to be tough. It was always important to focus the healer candle first, but now they're an even larger priority because leaving them alone they're going to be alive and heal your opponent as long as they're standing there near the wave. Killing the first patron now causes any existing enemy hero respawns to be reduced by 20 seconds. However, can't reduce remaining respawn timer lower than 10 seconds. I hate this change. And it probably won't even change much, so I'm just straight up being annoying here. But let me rock. Ultimately, it ensures, or at least tries to ensure, at least somewhat of a fight on the P2 patron, but I think it feels really, really artificial. I'd rather something insane, like choose a teammate to sacrifice, or just straight up picking 2 guys on the enemy team and making them respawn to fight me in a walls-up pit fight for the Phase 2 patron. That'd be better, because at least it's obvious and intentional. This feels a little artificial. If you are paying the normal amount of attention to the game, i.e. not staring at respawn timers, you're not even going to really notice. You might be caught by some... honestly, this probably isn't going to change the way that you play the game. Nobody's going to sit here and try to optimize respawn timers based on the 10-second... It's not going to change. I just don't like it. Power-ups now require a heavy melee to claim. Power-ups now start weaker and grow stronger. They spawn at 10 minutes and they cap out at 40. Now you have a weaker version of the bridge buff available at 10 minutes. The bridge buff is like a tier 2 to 3 item in some cases. And so getting that at 10 minutes they were extremely valuable. It's still a free item that ignores item slot limitations, so they're still absolutely a priority in the beginning. 10 minutes, you want to be there. And they only get better. Like, this is technically a shift because technically it goes down at 10 minutes, but no, this is a buff. Bridge buffs are just as important, if not more so than they were last time around. The standouts here are the casting and survival ones, in my opinion. 40 spirit power is insane. That's larger than tier 3. And 700 health is one of the biggest health gains in the entire game. Earn time to reveal increased from 20 seconds to 25. Initial earn bounty reduced from 40-50 to 3K. The formula stays the same, but they took 1050 off the base value of the earn. The earliest of earn runs could feel kind of cheesy sometimes. Now it's probably not worth running the earn until the mid game, and at that point it feels a little more interactive. I think about the earn a lot. I think the earn is a lower impact objective than I'd like it to be. I'm not totally sure, but even with that thought, I think this change is a healthy one. Side note, they did something over the weekend with the earn zone being at the top of mid-boss. It sucked. Glad they're trying weird stuff, but it sucks. Map changes. Got rid of some of the tighter, smaller hallways. One of the things I like about the Deadlock map versus Overwatch or Paladins or other hero shooter maps is that they use smaller spaces in ways that previous hero shooters were kind of afraid of, maybe for good reason for those games. Those games were all giant outside spaces, and honestly, when playing those games, sometimes walking into these smaller spaces when you're used to being in those large open spaces makes it feel awkward. Like when a fireman in full gear and mask is just standing in your living room. It just doesn't feel right, like there's too much or something. Deadlock deals with this kind of well and commits to the indoor areas, but a little more space goes a long way, and we're seeing that. Not completely moving away from smaller spaces, but the tighter corridors seem to be fewer and fewer. Probably not a bad thing. Anti-heal rebalance. Not a big deal and weirdly presented, honestly. This is a small shift in healing. All of it goes down 1 or 2%. As a result, anti-heal gets nerfed as well to compensate and keep that relationship pretty much the same. Healing was or is really prevalent, and so bringing that down a note is a good idea. Nobody likes attack meta, and the wrong sustain meta tastes just as bad under the wrong circumstances. A lot of items got small numbers adjustments as per usual, the triple beam balance ever in effect, but the focus of this pass seems to be about taking some of the lower tiered unique items and ensuring they have a target to upgrade into. A fun conversation, actually. Here in the weapon items, Spellslinger Headshots is a card that's going to appeal to hybrid builds. The same heroes that want Soul Shredder bullets are going to want this one, so it makes sense that this is where it grows into, but it's not exactly a strictly better effect, so that's kind of cool. A fun inclusion that rewards the precise play of landing a headshot. 36% spirit power at max stacks, by the way, is not a small amount either. So watch out for this one, especially on characters like Infernus and Paradox. Glass Cannon. Glass Cannon now requires slowing bullets and grants the slow passive. Glass Cannon's kind of a one-size-fits-all tier 4 compared to some of the others, which I feel like are a little more specific towards individual heroes. Putting a tax on this and making it more expensive than the other tier 4s, I think is a great way to address this. If you want the Ricochet and your Infernus, because that like works out to exactly what you want, yeah, 6K. Glass Cannon, though, good for everybody that's not dying, that's going to be like 70, 250 or whatever it is, and that feels, I like this idea. I don't want to deviate from the standard tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cost structure. I like that we have unified, standardized costs, and this is a way that you can sort of, cost of items is a usual lever that we pull in balance on MOBAs, and like being able to raise the price of something by forcing you to buy something earlier as a component of it, very cool. We'll see it a little bit later as well. Silencer got reworked as well. It's now a passive build-up type deal like Toxic Bullets, builds up a little slower than that one though. After it stacks up, it silences the target for 2 seconds and then reduces the target's spirit damage output by 40% for 4 seconds after that. 12-second immunity after being hit by it. Less control on this item feels lame at first glance. The deployable silence glyph is now your main option for when you're looking for, bam, silence. However, it's now a different type of deal. It's disruption. It's just team fight disruption. You slap Ricochet on that, and all of a sudden, everybody in the team fight, 2-second silence. You're not trying to interrupt or prevent that Geist from ulting. You're just making everybody panic and not hit their buttons. And then after the fact, when their buttons come back up, they all throw their grenades at you for 40% less damage. So this is just a team fight disruption option priced at $1 gazillion. And like I said, you kind of want to pair it with Ricochet. I don't know if I ever buy this before Ricochet, but an interesting thought. Definitely changing where I'm buying it. No longer, hey, you, stop silence. And now, haha, extra effect. So a different thought process on this one. And I didn't like it at first, but after thinking about it differently, it just occupies a different space. The green cards, vitality items, mainly Fodom stuff getting taken down a peg. Reactive Barrier loses 50 HP on the bullet shield. Return Fire gets a 500 soul tax on it by way of extra regen becoming a required component. And Rescue Beam got nerfed pretty noticeably. I like the stat change on Divine Barrier, going from Spirit Pow to ability range. You buy this item for its utility and having some offensive stats on it. I think the idea was that it feels good, but when you buy this item, you're making a detour away from your power curve build if you're a carry. And so the power on it just felt a little too forgiving. It'll be harder to build this item, and I like that. Metal Skin active now reduces your move speed by 1.5. Metal Skin gets a nerf here, but it's flavor. And honestly, the conveyance is a little bit better. Cool change. Phantom Strike's change means the cast range is only in front or behind you. It doesn't matter how high up the target is. Necessary change so that it can actually do its job, which is shit on Vindicta and Talon. Knockdown got the same change later. Spirit items over here. Silence Glyph got turned into a skill shot. We love that. Lower cooldown to compensate when I inevitably whiff the target right in front of me. We love that too. Knockdowns change to the same as Phantom Strike, Anvil in the Sky, GG. New Tier 3 Spirit item, Spirit Snatch. Requires Spirit Strike. Causes your melee attacks to steal 12% Spirit Resist and 26 Spirit Power for 15 seconds with a 6-second cooldown. The buff you receive can stack if you hit different heroes. So you can only steal 26 Spirit Power per player, but you can multiple stacks on that yourself, so that's a lot of Spirit Power, honestly. The stats on the card are 15% melee dam, 8% Spirit Resist, 125 health, and 1 sprint. This card was actually proposed by some dude on the forums. Shout out CJ Flaherty 4. Cool to see this sort of community interaction. Hella fast, too. Posted on the 17th, implemented on the 21st. That's wild. Good item, good idea. I do want to mention that Spirit Strike being stuck at Tier 1 isn't a design mistake in and of itself. Leaving it there without an option to upgrade into can limit a build and keep the strength ceiling a little bit down. That's not really an issue here, so having a clear build path and target items to build into is a good idea. But that part on the forum post about being harder to justify an item slot to a lower tiered item late in the game is cool friction to play with. And I hope to see some powerful passives on early tiered items that force you to make that decision. I like that. New Tier 3 Spirit item, Arcane Surge. Requires kinetic dash. After a successful dash jump, the next ability you use will also have 20% range, 20% duration, and 20 spirit power. It'll still do the same kinetic dash, fire rate, and ammo thing as well. Stats on the card are 100 health, 1 stam, and 15% slow resist. It's weird to lose the weapon damage, but the heroes that want this item won't miss the weapon damage. You also still get the KD passive, so it's not even that huge a deal. Worth noting, this is one of 3 cards that feature movement slow resist. Fuck Kelvin. Refresher getting its CD increased from 230 to 260 feels like an unimpactful change. 30 seconds on an already 4-minute cooldown. It's either up or it's not. Weird choice. Grey Talon gets Vindicta's old trap. Works the same way. No longer a straight up route. You just get tied to the pole for a little bit. Fine, honestly. They've made a few changes to abilities like this. I don't think they want to keep you 100% stationary anymore, so the tether is a version of the route that doesn't make you feel as hopeless. Hayes got a change to Smoke Bomb and a change to the ult. I don't love the change to the ult. Hayes gets completely shut down by Metal Skin. That no longer happens, and that's probably looked at as a good thing or a reason for this change. I actually like that interaction. Hayes has some of the highest end game damage. The ultimate can just be a GG button, and having Metal Skin just be the complete shutdown moment felt good and was a good like rock to scissors moment. The Hayes player can either hold that or get good. I don't know, time it better. I liked that. This is more forgiving, having spirit power being an aspect of the ultimate, so Metal Skin doesn't just completely shut it down. I'm not overwhelmingly mad at this change, but it's not my favorite, and I don't like the mentality behind it. Smoke Bomb, I love this change. Hayes is a brain asleep, left click hero, and I love that. I'm not being sarcastic, I mean it. It's good that there are some just straight up boring archetype, left click to victory type deals. That said, this is a tiny bit of complexity, and obviously there's a ton of room for activities, so I welcome the complexity. And honestly, maybe this is a little subjective, maybe this is a little biased part, but I just love a good iframe. Who doesn't love a good counter? That nailed it moment where you really get to make the other guy look stupid. These are the moments that feel really good in games like this. This is a great inclusion to the kit. Beautiful change. McGinnis turret's got some love for some reason. Turret health no longer scales with hero health. Turret spirit resist reduced from 70% to 30% to compensate for the big change. Turret base health increased from 75 to 150. Mini turrets now gain 20 health per boon. Not those. This one. Mini turrets now take at most 33% of their max HP per second from any damage source. Excess damage is moved to the following second. Like Brewmaster Stagger. In effect, this means that turrets will always live for at least 3 seconds. Why? Tomato, tomato, tomato. Mirage. Tornado and Fire Scarab's ability slots swapped. I'm only highlighting this to show some of the cool like cohesion that's going on in the designer's mind. What they want to do is they want to have your movement ability on your 2. All of your movement abilities are going to be they're going to try and put all movement abilities on your 2, barring some weird kit or something. Infernus Dash is on your 2. Telekinesis for Wraith is on your 2. Holiday's little bling is going to be on your 2. And Mirage's was on his 1. So now they put it on his 2. This helps you learn new characters a little bit better. It makes the game just feel more like parts of a whole. There's a conversation about homogenization, and that can be a little scary. But this is the type of formulaicness that I like. That's a good thing. So thumbs up. Mo and Krill. Sandblast duration reduced from 3.5 seconds to 3. Good change here. It could even go to 2.5 and I'd be happy. 3 seconds is an eternity, and 3.5 was way too long. Obviously so, if you ask me. Disarm is an extremely strong CC, needs to be used sparingly. 7 Storm Cloud ult now causes you to levitate up and down a little bit in a cycle, rather than being fully stationary. Wraith ult does the same thing too, a little faster, so no more free headshots. It's probably a good thing.
And up they go.
Shiv's kit feels like he's supposed to shoot you with his daggers and then lunge in and execute when the time is right. Melee Shiv was the first way we saw him played, and after a few nerfs in that direction, he's kind of floundered. All these changes kind of nudge him upward, but specifically in a way that emphasizes what I glean to be the intended play pattern of the kit. Cool changes here. Vindicta Tether. Well, she gave it to Grey Talon, so we need to give her a new... Tether is now a vortex, and this shit is way too strong. Viscous. Puddle Punch can now be parried. Doesn't stun Viscous, only blocks the knockup. Cute. Warden changes didn't touch what I'd like to see. Lower weapon dam. Fuck the police. Yamato got her ult reworked again. Shadow transformation no longer heals on cast. Now heals for 15% of your max HP on hero kill. Much better implementation of this idea. Heal on cast very much felt like a stepping stone to get to this point. Yamato was cool because she ignores death and just pushes forward despite everything, all-inning somebody on a gamble that the person she's trying to kill is dead and she gets away to safety before that timer runs out. That's a cool playstyle. After the rework, that no longer was her identity. It was more about getting a second win in a fight, turning the tides in that way. Heal on kill is sort of a return to the former playstyle, allowing you to just tunnel some dude, go all in, and get that heal, waterfall onto the next player. It's a rewarding playstyle, but a risky one. You've got to go all in, and that can be tough. It's just like the original kit. I love, 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 love this change. It's so much better than the last one, that second one in between. The first one, I kind of was fine with it, but I understand why other people weren't. This is a more demanding version of that first one, but still embodies the identity of that. I'm all in and I'm going to keep going. And I like that for Yamato. Without this, she feels like she doesn't really have an identity. Now she's the offensive W key assassin that really fits the whole samurai thing. Fine patch. Honestly, not a game-changing patch in any particular space. Love the haze change. Think that's a little fun, having another button to press. Item store, getting flex. I like that they're looking at the flex spots. That is, when you're playing your game, your flex spots are going to be one of the bigger, like, it's a quest. It's one of the bigger parts of the game. So I like that they're paying such close attention to that. And I don't even think I mentioned this when we were talking about the bridge buffs. They now require a heavy melee. I'm not going to lie. I like the old version. I like just having to run up there and get it. That was fun. Maybe it felt a little silly, and so they want to make it more interactive by forcing the whatever. I liked it the old. Not a hill I'm going to die on, but I did like it the old way. I stream every day, and when the patch comes out, we like look at it, first impressions right there on stream with everybody in chat, twitch.tv/fswag. We did it this time. It took 2 hours. So if you just want to like vibe and chat Deadlock, that's something that we do there kind of all the time. So hit us up, twitch.tv/fswag. Shout out to all my sponsors. If you want to be here, I'll shout you out. Give me money. Catch you next time, y'all. Where's the button?